In this video, I'm going to show you how to create really cool content videos using automation with N8N. But first, before we jump into it, you'll probably notice that Google came out with a new release for creating high quality videos with their VEO 3, and they were excellent. The only problem with it is they're really expensive to produce. However, that's kind of changed now because ByteDance, which is a Chinese company, has just brought out their version, which I'm going to show you on the screen now. I'll show you how I've done these ones. It's called WaveSpeed AI, and it's about 10 times cheaper, if not more. So now it gets really interesting. We can now, as content creators, stitch together a lot of videos by making scenes of videos, and the cost isn't going to completely blow out. So I'm going to show you how to do it using WaveSpeed in this video, and we're going to build an automation together. But you can just have a quick look at some of the quality that WaveSpeed's producing. It's really rivaling Google. And we can actually stitch all these scenes together and make videos using services like N8N and Airtable or Google Sheets, which we're going to do in this video in a second. But the quality is really quite impressive, and this is only getting better and better. So as this gets more and more advanced, we can stitch full videos together and use them in our content, either in Reels or embed them in videos and articles and all sorts of cool things. So I'll show you a quick example of this, and we're going to build it together. But I used this, and I built this automation here on N8N, which I'm going to take you through. It looks a little long, but it's actually not that difficult. I'll walk you through step by step how to do it. I'll show you the end result, then I'm going to tell you what I did, and then we're going to build it together so you can understand it. So let me just show you a video that it did from for a travel article. So what I did was I just grabbed an article as an example from the internet, just use as an example of like travel to Paris like this. And I was like, okay, well, let's make a video out of this rather than do these still images here that we could potentially use on a website. So I grabbed this article and I just got it scraped and put it into the N8N automation. So if you haven't used N8N before, links below the video. I'll show you in a second how to put it all together. But essentially, we put an article in and we scrape it using Firecrawl. It scrapes it, and then through a series of prompts that we do here, it then creates video prompting based on that article. And then this is where we use WaveSpeed here. We actually get the videos created through WaveSpeed, and then we can stitch them together, and then we can, then we can add sound to them here. And then all of them can be, this is where they get stitched together. So we create the scenes, we create the sound, we stitch them together, and out pops a video. So let me show you an example from that one in Paris that it created. So here is the video. I'm just going to play it. I'm going to have the volume turned down so you can hear me talking over the top of it. But it's got music playing in the background. It's got a scene of Paris, like if you're on a travel website or something. And then it's going to change scenes, and it's going to go through to different shots of different places in Paris. Now, obviously, you can fine-tune this and control it with your prompting. But all in all, just from grabbing an article, scraping it, and passing it through to the automation, I got a reasonably good video of different places to visit in Paris, and obviously the shot of the Eiffel Tower. So that's what I got. Let's have a look how we can do it, and then you can tailor it and make it to whatever you need. The first thing you need to do is set up an account at N8N. As I said, my affiliate link's below the video. So what we're going to do is just use a form to get the article. So the simplest way to do it is just to use a form on the right. Just go form, N8N form. And the form's just a really basic one. All we're doing in here is setting up a field called article, and the element type is text, and we just leave that blank. What this allows us to do is to test easily. So we can then, when we execute this automation, a box is going to pop up, and then that's where you just put the article that you want scraped in, and then that article will automatically get sent through to the Firecrawl module. So Firecrawl is this service over here, which allows you to crawl web pages and scrape the content and turn it into text, which we can then pass into the LLMs. So you need an account over at Firecrawl. So go and get an account and get your API key. Once you're set up, you need to get your API key. I'm not going to go through how to get API keys because it takes a little bit long in every video walking through how to get API keys. But basically, if you go into your account, get set up, and then over on the right, it says API key. Grab your API key once you've got your account. Take your API key and then come back to N8N. And then on the right-hand side, just type in Firecrawl like that, Firecrawl. And then in here is where you're going to put your credentials. You're going to go edit in here, and then you're going to set the base URL like that. And this will probably be automatically filled in. And then your API key needs to go in here, okay, to connect that connected, to get Firecrawl connected to N8N. Once you've done that, save it. Then you don't have to keep putting that in every time you use Firecrawl. It's just saved to your account. In the custom body here, this is what we want to send over. It's just a really simple payload that we're sending called URL, like that, format, leave everything the same. All you need to do is map in from that form, the article that came from the actual form submission. So you grab article and you just drop it in between those quotes like that. So I let go of that, you can see it does it. I'm just going to delete that out like that. Once you do that and you put that into Firecrawl, it will scrape it and then it will spit out the website on the right-hand side, the content that you need in markdown format. So once you've got the web page content and text, we're going to then pass it through to this LLM agent, which is an AI agent. So just get an AI agent on the side. So go agent, AI agent there. You need an account at OpenAI to connect a model to this, to run this with AI. So you go and get an account at OpenAI. It's the same thing. You need to add your credentials in here, put your API key in, and then click save. Exactly the same sort of thing you did with Firecrawl. And then you can just choose the model of 4.1 is what I'm using. So once you've got a model attached off of the agent, you can then add a think module and a structured output parser just to control the output a little bit more. So to add those two modules, they come off the tool and the output parser. So to add those on, it's pretty straightforward. Just go to think, type in think tool comes up. You need to be self-hosted to use Think. If you're not self-hosted, you don't have to use the Think model. It will work fine. And then just go to structured output parser like that. In the structured output parser, just put the format like this. I'll give you this template below the video. You paste that in there, or it'll already be there for you. And then in the prompt, which again, I'm just going to give it to you to make it easier. I'll just read it so you understand what we're doing. All I did was drop in here the actual scraped content of the web page. So the LLM has an idea of what we want the video to be based on, obviously the article content. And I'm dumping that in there like that. And then in the system prompt below, I'm just giving it a little bit more instructions of what I want it to produce and how I want it output. So I'm saying I just need an idea of a video. I need the setting. I need an idea for the audio. And then I need a status for production. That's what I want it to output. So read the article and then come up with an idea for a video from that article that would make sense. Once you've done that and run that step, you can see now the LLM has read the article and it's got an idea for a video here. So it's got a montage of Paris highlights from sunrise to sparkling Eiffel Tower night. Settings, fast-paced, audio, and it sort of gives us an idea of now how we could create a video based on that article. So we can then now save that to Google Sheet if we want to do multiple of these and save them. You don't have to do this step if you don't want to. If you just want to get moving quickly and test this, then just go straight across to the next module like that and don't save it. But for those of you who want to build this out into an automation where you're doing a lot of these and stitching together a lot of different videos, you want to start saving it to either an Airtable or a Google Sheet. So in order to do this step here, you need to get an account connected again with Google Sheet. I'm just going to blur out stuff on the screen, but you need to actually go through and get your client ID and your client secret and connect your Google Cloud account with N8N. Now, this is a little bit more of a cumbersome step. It takes probably about 10 minutes to get set up. So I'm not going to go into it in this video, but if you go into Google and quickly look up how to connect N8N to Google Drive, you'll find somebody's probably done a video on it. But you got to get this step connected. And then once it's connected, then you can set up a Google Sheet and save these ideas to a Google Sheet. Or you can do the step with Airtable. I use Airtable a lot. I don't use Google Sheets much, but I know some people like to. So occasionally I like to swap it up and do a video on Google Sheets. But if you prefer Airtable, just do the Airtable step here instead. But once you've got it connected, you're just going to have a sheet, like a real basic sheet like this, which has a heading of idea, setting, audio, status, and then the URL. And then we're just going to map those ideas into the sheet like that. So the way we map them in once you're connected is you choose the sheet name, videos, then the tab that you've got that on, and then all these headings are going to show up automatically because you've connected to that sheet. And then all you have to do is drag from the left the idea into the idea field, the setting into the setting field, and the audio to the audio field, and click execute, and it's going to save those ideas to the sheet. So that's how you can build up a database of your ideas as you're building this out. Again, if you don't want to go through that complexity, just cut that step off like that. You don't need it, and you can just go straight into like that, and you'll get a video in this workflow completed. I'm going to put that back in there, though, for those of you who want to build this out. And then we're going to do another AI agent. So just duplicate that one. Just go right-click, duplicate it, and then just add the same things on the bottom. The output pass is going to be slightly different, and the prompt is going to be slightly different. So we're saying in here, I want give me 3 video prompts that I can use, because what we're doing is 3 different scenes of a video in Paris, and then we're going to stitch those together. So we're doing scene by scene by scene. Now you could, in theory, stitch together like 16 scenes and do a longer video here. So we're just going to do 3. So what I've said in here, I'm not going to read it so much here, but I've asked it to produce a prompt, and I've told it how I want an output. But the key thing in here is I have to map in the idea, the setting, and the audio ideas from the previous prompt. So I map in these fields like this. I map all 3 of those in, so it's got an idea of what these scenes need to be based on. So that's what the previous prompt was doing. And then it's given us an output like this example. I've given an example so it understands. It's always important to give LLMs an example or they can hallucinate. And then the output passive structure is pretty easy. I just give it again that example in here of how I want it to output these ideas. So I've got 3 scenes, I've got a setting, and I've got an idea for a video and the audio. Then I'm going to flatten that structure, because if I run that, you can see it gives me a nested structure with output, and then it's got the ideas and the setting beneath that. But I want to pass through each scene one by one into the final output. So the way I'm going to do it is use a code node and flatten that structure. So now I've got each scene has got the idea, the setting, and the audio like this. So it's restructured it. So now I can pass each scene as a package through to the creator, the video creator, which is WaveSpeed. So in order to use WaveSpeed, here's where you get your requests come in when you run them. So you can see here I've previously run this, and this is the video that it created for me of one of the scenes. So I'm going to hop out of there, but all you need to do is go and get your API access at the top, and then you need to come and connect your WaveSpeed account to N8N. It's the same sort of thing we do in all automation. So you do an HTTP request because they don't have a built-in module. So just use HTTP like that, open it up, and then you need to connect your WaveSpeed account. So again, in here, put authorization, and then you put the word bearer with a capital B, and then you have a space, and then you put your API key. And again, they explain that if you go into the API documents, and when you get your API key, they show you how to send the information over. So if I go through here, you can actually see on the model we're using here, actually, that wasn't the exact model. That's an image to video model. So I'm on the wrong model, but you can play around with the different models that they give you. So down below is text to video here. So, but what I want to draw your attention to is where it says API in here, it shows you how to send the information over. So this is where you can get the information of the headers that they want and how to send the body over. So over here, this is how we send the body of the request over. So this is really important to get that right, get your API details, and then punch in the authorization step. And then you also need to put the header down below to yes, send to headers, content type application JSON like this. And then send body, yes. We're going to use just a JSON, and we're going to structure it like they gave us like that. And then we're just going to map into this prompt field all the different stuff that we got previously created from the LLMs for us. So we're going to map in the video scene here so it understands in the prompt the scene, the setting. Here I'm going to map that in like that, and then the idea of the video is going to be mapped in. Sorry, the idea of the video was the scene. The scene, we're going to map in the setting and then the audio. So those are the 3 things that I'm sending across like that. So I don't need to pipe that. We can just leave it like that. So basically that's how we send a prompt payload over like that. And we're going to send it scene by scene. So if I hop out of that, if I was to execute that, I'm not going to, because I run it before, but you can see it sends over 3 packages of information because it's creating 3 separate videos for us, one at a time based on the prompt. So it can take like a few minutes for it to produce the video. So you want to put a wait step in here. I've just got the wait step for 1 second because when I was testing, I didn't want to have to keep re-triggering it. But you might want to put that up to, a couple of minutes. Like probably if you just put it to minutes, you might want to give it about 3 minutes for it to do before you actually check if it came back. if it's completed. So the way to check if WaveSpeed is finished is you do another HTTP module, but this time you're actually just querying on a GET response. So the first HTTP module we did was a POST response. You'll notice here it's set to POST like that. Now we're setting this one to GET. So we're just retrieving what they already created for us. And the way we do that, we just simply map in this URL, and right in between here, we map in from the previous step. They gave us this ID of the job ID. So it's this job ID that we drop into here. And that means that when you query with this string here, this URL, you're asking WaveSpeed, is this particular job completed? That's why it's got result on the end. And that will send a response back of complete success or not. So you could just do a polling step here and keep checking if the status is completed or not. But for the sake of simplicity, I'll just move along, and you'll be pretty much fine if you leave a 3-minute wait anyway. And then you're going to get back those videos. So in the result, once it's finished, it's going to give you down below these MP4s. So you can see in the outputs, you've got video 1, and then you've got video, or that might have been video 2, and then video 3. So it brings back 3 video MP4s like that. So now that we've got the videos back from WaveSpeed, we can go and create the sound. And to create the sound to stitch these videos together, we're going to use File. So I've used File in quite a few of my videos, but go to File AI. And over at File, again, you have to get your API key and connect to File, just like you do with everything. The only thing to watch out with File is when you're doing your API key here, it shows you how to set it up. If you set that to curl like that, when you come into File, you want to find the model that we're using, which is this one, Audio V2 is the model. And then you go in here and click API, and it shows you how to send the request over. If you go to a CURL HTTP module there, it actually shows you how to send it over. So they walk you through it. But one little thing that can catch people up here is when File does their authorization in the header, they don't use bearer, they use key. So most of the time, HTTP modules rather have bearer and then your API key. File does it different. They just have key with a capital K. So just make sure you don't get caught up by that, or you're going to get an error and be probably pulling your hair out wondering why it's not working. The other header we need is content type application JSON like that. And then it just shows us here how to send over that body request like that to get that audio created. So let's do that now. If we go over here to this request and sound, this is exactly what we just set up. What it just showed us to set up. I just did exactly that. And then in the body down below, all I'm mapping in is how they told us to send the body. They want the video URL and they want the prompt for the audio that you want. So you remember that if I go back here on this flattened structure here, we actually had a prompt for the audio here. So you can see here, I'm dragging that in there like that. That's the prompt that I want. And then the video URL actually was what we got back from that request from WaveSpeed when it had the output video URL here. So that's what we're mapping in these two fields here is the video and the audio prompt. And then we send that over like this to File, and it will create that audio for that video for us. And it will do it 3 times. And the reason it's doing it 3 times is because you'll notice here, we're actually sending in 3 videos, 3 requests. We want 3 audio, 3 requests. So it's doing it 3 times. We get 3 results back. And then you want to put a wait step, again, just like we did here, waiting for them to produce that. And then we just do exactly the same thing we did here. We do a get response step, but this time it's with File. So again, it's a get response, same sort of thing. This is the URL to request the ID back. So from File, when we did the request audio, again, they gave us a request ID. So that's what we map at the end of the string, the request ID. It'll give us a response if it's ready or not. And then they'll send us back here. You can see here the video file with the audio now embedded into it. So that's all it's doing. We've given them a video, we've given them a prompt for audio, and we're saying add audio to this video. And then they're going to embed the audio to the video for you over at File. And then they're going to send those 3 videos back to you. So now we've got 3 videos with audio embedded in them. And then here we can do a code node that will just restructure again. It's just simple restructuring. So we've got video URLs in an array like this. So we've got all 3 coming out like that now. And these are all videos with the audio embedded. So once we've got it like that, we can then send another request to file to stitch these together into one video rather than 3 separate ones. This is a pretty basic one. We just do a post request. This is the endpoint. All this will be in the JSON that I give you for N8N anyway. And then we're just saying these 3 URLs here that we map in 1, 2, 3. We want you to stitch them together for us like that. And then it will stitch them together for you in a video format like that and give you one video back at the end. So again, another wait step, another get step. So there's a lot of getting, waiting, and then pinging for the response. And every time it's the same. This is a get step. We drag in the same from the previous module. We want the request ID. We drag that on the end. And again, if you're doing this, you should really you can just estimate the amount of delay in all of these steps, or you can do a polling and you can check you can ping and ask them and check what response they give you, and then you can do an if statement. If response is complete or whatever, or success, depending on what they give back, then continue, otherwise loop back around. You could do a looping step, loop back around and try again until you get success. But I'm not going to do that in this video, but you should really, if you want to do this on production scale, do looping and polling. Otherwise, you can just do a longer time and that you feel confident it will definitely be finished by, or you do polling and check it. So once you've finished the result, then we poll and get it back. And then you'll notice here we just get one video back, the final video there. And that is the end. Those 3 videos are now stitched together in one video with that audio. Now you could save that back to your Google Drive by just simply adding an update sheet module here. So if you had that module here where you created that sheet and put the prompting, you could now put the finished video URL back on that same sheet. So the way you would do that is, again, this is just an update a row, choose the same video and sheet, and then you're just mapping back the final video URL like that and there. And then on your sheet, when you're finished, back here, your video URL is going to be saved, and then you can access it there. And obviously that's going to download that video, which I'm not going to do now. But that's how you complete the automation. So essentially, what we've done in this video is create an automation from an article, and it's created a scene of, well, in this particular one, it was a travel type of scene where we scraped an article, passed it through to the LLM. It came up with a video idea. We saved that to a sheet. And then we had this agent create 3 scenes based on this idea, which was based on this article. And then we passed those through to WaveSpeed to create those 3 scenes. And then once we got it back, we then asked File to create audio for those scenes. And then once we got that back, we then got File to stitch those 3 videos all together into one final video, output it and saved it back to our drive. So you can do a lot more complexity with this and play around with how this is prompted. So I encourage you to play around and tweak it to get better results. But that's how you do a short video on WaveSpeed. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, hit the like, subscribe, and give me a comment. I'll see you in the next video.